The latest in a series of cyber attacks.
You know, people are so stressed.
Rescuers search for survivors.
And especially these days.
Also recovered the bodies of 10 victims.
It seems there's a lot of war, a lot of political upheaval. People just shouting at each other. Nobody's listening.
Today, his tweets prompted some of the harshest
a lot
criticism
of
yet.
Violence.
Low IQ, crazy Mika.
People so confused about where happiness comes from that they're harming others.
That he fights fire with fire.
Part of what's happening is we're responding with stress and anxiety about what will happen.
Thwarted an annual Gay Pride March today.
It's very confusing and upsetting. It's hard to make sense of all that. We think my job is so stressful. What's happening in the world is stressing me out. We got it turned around. We're responding with stress. There's only one thing we can actually control, and that's our own mind. And we put almost all of our energy into the externals. So when something really big happens, or we're watching something in a faraway land, it's this paralysis comes, or this feeling of impotence or dread. So for me, I'm so happy to have a way to understand it and a way to relate to it that keeps me peaceful. So that's very much part of Buddhist teachings. The path is recognizing that I can determine how I experience what's happening. I'm in charge of my response. And that's why we need meditation.
Her name is Gen Kelsang Soglam, which means fortunate one on the path of accumulation. She is one of the teachers here at the Kadampa Meditation Center on Tucson's east side. It is a Buddhist temple.
I'm a Buddhist. I'm like a full-on Buddhist. I'm a Buddhist nun. I'm occasionally accused of being a monk. Once adamantly, I said, okay, I'm a monk.
The journey to find inner peace is at the core of their mission. More than 75 regular practitioners attend the center, as well as new students and visitors. Gen Soglam teaches primarily at the Sierra Vista branch, but is here on a regular basis.
My wish for anyone who turns up at a center, at a temple, or anyone that I interact with is that they gain some insight into the power of their own mind and their own potential for peace. Please send down a rain of vast
Classes, teachings, and prayer are offered. There is no pressure to convert to Buddhism.
Our main focus is to try to help people have more peaceful minds and happier lives. And so anybody's welcome. Anybody can come at any time, and then it's up to them.
When we stop creating any negative action.
Gen Kelsang Lingpor is the principal teacher at Kadampa and has been teaching in Tucson since 2002. Her name means fortunate one gone to the pure land. She too sees suffering in the lives of others and thinks about how she can help.
As I grew older,
My old way of doing that would have been to go out and protest, to get involved in organizations for change, and I still think those things are important for people to do, to try to change things. But the only way that you can really learn to benefit others is if you learn to tame your own mind first.
to the supreme mind.
Her own journey on this path began with unwelcome news.
When I was 43, I was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I was told I only had, at most, 2 years to live. All of a sudden, I had all these questions, what's the meaning of life? What was the point? What was meaningful about my life? And when I thought about that, the only things that really seemed meaningful were things I did to help other people.
She went about taming her own mind by letting go of a high-pressure career and a stressful relationship, and found Buddhism and meditation.
And my mind changed completely. My life changed completely at that point. And then after a year and a half, I went in for tests and it was gone. I went into remission. So that was in 1993. So I shouldn't be around today.
Both Soglam and Lingpor say that meditation is at the heart of their practice, and that it is the key to making positive change at a deep level.
I had to almost train myself to enjoy it, We train ourselves to enjoy things in life. Nobody's born loving football. Nobody's born loving skiing. And that happens in meditation too, which is why we have to train, because now you're noticing You're noticing how often your mind wanders.
I went to class for quite a long while before I started meditating, because that just seemed so boring. I was a New Yorker, I had places to go, people to see. You'd like me to sit still? You know, sitting still was just absurd. Twitchy mind, you know, trying to think about my breath, wandering off. And, you know, it's like playing the piano. If you just keep practicing. We practice meditation.
That practice can calm the mind and bring us closer to inner peace. These practitioners are meditating at the Wat Buddhamita Buddhist Meditation Center in central Tucson.
In meditation, we're taking a time out from our habitual ways of thinking. You know, you're so used to being aggravated with them and worrying about that. That's our mental habit, and it carries the day. So in meditation, you step back and you train in deciding what you want to think about. So initially, that's just breath. You've wandered to worrying about work or the world. That's right, I don't need to think about that right now. I'm thinking about my breath. You wander off, that's all right, you just keep coming back. So it's like flexing a muscle.
You start by getting in a comfortable position. Sit with your back straight, but not tense, relaxed. Eyes lowered, or you can close them if that's more comfortable for you. And then your mouth closed, your tongue resting against your teeth. And then you gradually turn your focus to your breath. The sensation is the air is going out and coming in. You try to let go of everything else and just hold your mind on that sensation. At the beginning, your mind's going to wander all the time. You notice your mind wandered and you bring it back to the breath.
Breathing meditation is a preliminary, so we use that to get better at deciding what we want to think about. Although it's just a preliminary, it still can really affect our stress levels and help us be more relaxed.
Once you've got some control over your mind, then you want to start working on meditations that change or transform your mind. So for example, from an impatient mind to a patient mind, maybe a selfish mind to a generous mind, from a self-cherishing to cherishing others more, you know, from anger to compassion. And the idea is that if you can change your mind a little, you can change your mind a lot. If you don't have peace of mind, it doesn't matter how good things are externally, you're not going to be happy. And if you do have peace of mind, things can be pretty tough externally and you're still happy. So, you know, much more important to work on your mind than all of that other stuff, which is what we spend all our time doing. You know, we chase after more possessions and we chase after more money and more relationships, and those things can be nice if you're already peaceful and happy, and if you're not, it doesn't do any good.
From one point of view, your meditation practice, you know, if you feel like you are a Buddhist, you have a spiritual guide and you're following that path, it's a bit personal. It's the most intimate relationship you can have. So those moments, they're not ecstatic, they're sort of almost the opposite. That kind of like stillness. It's more like going in to a deep, still, crystal clear mountain lake. So settled, so in your heart, and spacious at the same time. You know, in the West, we have that expression, do you know it? Pff, drop in the bucket. In Buddhism, we say, drop in the bucket. You know, I meditated for 5 minutes today. I put a peace drop in the bucket of the world, if you will. And that's wonderful. That's the side of the solution. And that's how things change.